So recently I just picked up the Air Jordan 1 Ochre colorway from a website and app called Collect, which is like a European version of StockX. So actually I went on the site myself and bought a pair of Air Jordan 5 Off-Whites here that I wanted to show you guys in this video. And it's been 1 month since the release of the Air Jordan 5 Off-White, but I finally got a pair and the price was right for myself, and that's why I pulled the trigger. But I wanted to discuss that with you guys in this video and if it's worth buying the Air Jordan 5 Off-White for that resale price. What is going on, guys? Hess here, CollectiveKicks.com. If you guys would like to shop this week's top sneaker deals that I try to curate for you guys, check the link in the description, and happy shopping. So here we have it, the Air Jordan 5 with the Off-White collab, and you can see the little Swiss cheese in the top and the sides as well. I think that's kind of a nice little addition to the box, just because it looks like an Air Jordan 5 box, but they put their own little spin to it, which is exactly what he does to the sneakers. On the box label, it says Air Jordan 5 Retro SP. Doesn't say Off-White on the label, and I got a 9.5. And as I mentioned, I bought this from the Collect website, which is a European site, so the label may be different in Europe than it is in the US. And if you guys follow me on Twitter, you see that I've been posting this sneaker every now and then, showing the resale prices, 900s, 800s, 700s, and really just contemplating whether or not I wanted to pull the trigger on them. There was a price point that I had in mind that I wanted to pay. They were going for 1,500, then 1,000, and then 900. And I was waiting for it to drop a little bit more when I bought them. So while these were going for 900 on StockX, they were actually going for 700s on Collect. So because of that, after the currency conversion rates and shipping costs included, it was still like $140, $150 cheaper than the US price from StockX at the time of the purchase. Now, because this video is a little delayed from when I actually got the shoes, the prices actually dropped significantly on StockX as well, and they're sitting around that $750 price range, which is pretty much what I paid for these. But you can see this is the shoe, and this is the shoe. With the Off-White wrapping paper inside as well. Sometimes it's hard to trust some of these sites. When you have a shoe that's $100 cheaper than another source, you can automatically speculate and think that they're not going to be authentic. But that's one thing that I like about this site, and this is not a sponsored video. This one that I did with the Ochres was a sponsored video by them, but I actually literally took my own money and bought these since I was checking out their site and really was like, wow, this is actually kind of a good deal. So first things first, I can smell these. I know an Air Jordan 5 smell. I know an Air Jordan 1 smell. This is definitely an authentic pair just based off the smell alone. But one thing that's kind of cool about the Collect site is they do have an authentication tag that comes with the shoe that goes down all of the different things of the quality control and the authentication process that they go through with the shoe. And I think that's actually kind of smart that they do that. They have a little tab button that checks off every single one. StockX does not have something like that. Which is something that they could probably learn from and actually do. They only sell new products on their site as well as StockX, so it's kind of similar in that regard where it's not like GOAT and it's not like used stuff. But you can see it comes with a bag right here that has the different laces. And the shoe looks pretty crazy. Like, this was my first look at the shoe other than images, and I didn't know quite what to expect. It definitely has an interesting look, and it's different than other Air Jordan 5s because of the way that the upper structure is actually put together. The midsole is actually already pre-yellowed, which I think is cool. It's like a gum sole yellowy look to it. And I like the effect that they did there with the little Jumpman there and then some smoke color in the middle section with the Nike. But I like the fact that it's kind of like off gum colored already. I think that's just smart. It looks aged, but it's also like a nice color to the shoe. For the lace locks, you have kind of a milky color to it with the red and the inside. The tongue is where they change things up a lot. The Air Jordan logo itself is actually off-centered, like it's definitely off to the side. This one doesn't have a hole through it, but this one does, and I thought it would have been consistent, but one of them has a hole through the tongue, the other one doesn't, and then they're both off-centered. Also, the material is the 3M reflective metallic silver color, but it also has a raw edge that it's matched up to, so it's not a big, huge, puffy Air Jordan 5 tongue. It has a raw edge on it instead, and it's a lot thinner than the regular Air Jordan 5 tongues. Speaking of thinner, along the collar of the shoe, you have that Swiss cheese vibe again with the holes on each side with that window. But because of that, they removed all the padding from both sides. So typically on an Air Jordan 5, there's actually a lot of padding on both sides and on the back section of the shoe. So they kind of removed all of that and minimalized that entire section of the shoe, but structurally it looks pretty much like an Air Jordan 5. It's just thinner in this section. That plastic mesh sort of stuff right here is what the Air Jordan 5 is known for. They have that on the tongue and it's whole on the tongue, but on the sides of the shoe, there's a little window here, which is consistent through the theme of the shoe. It's also a little window on the inside where it says the Beaverton, Oregon, which is kind of the traditional off-white stamp that they put on the side of the shoe. The midsole doesn't say Air or anything like that. The laces do say shoelaces though, and the back does say Nike Air, and it does have a 23 on the side of the shoe right here. You do have cement paint splatter on the side of the shoe, as well as on this side right here. And the zip tie on this pair is actually black, and it just simply says off-white CO Nike 2020 zip tie. The entire upper on the shoe is really interesting as well. It's not leather, and it kind of reminds you of the Air Jordan Off-White 1 with the toe box section and the side panel right here. It's like a see-through breathable material that Nike has been using on like a bunch of different shoes, but he integrated that as an overlay of the Off-White shoe, which I think is interesting. I don't quite know what's underneath here, but it just feels like it's cloth. There's no leather underneath here. Versus the Off-White ones, there's definitely leather elements all over. So it would have been interesting and probably better if he would have used some of it in panels all over the place, like he did with the Air Jordan 1, versus just doing the entire thing with the same theme. But he did change it up again with the little circles everywhere through the shoe. So I think it's an interesting look. The part of the video that you guys are probably interested about though, after a month, this shoe has gone through the ringer. Like, first of all, when it was announced, it was selling for $1,500 pre-sale, like pretty solid. And then people were really geeked up about the shoe. All celebrities are wearing the shoe. It was definitely one of the most hyped shoes, if not the most hyped shoe of All-Star Weekend. Then after the release, everybody's still geeked up about the shoe. It's still selling for $1,200, $1,000. And then they dipped down to $900, and that's where it seemed like things were going to be staying at. And then all of a sudden, coronavirus hits. And I don't know if there was a direct implication to the impact of the price of the sneakers. I haven't checked the market across the board, but it went from 900 down to 700s, low 700s at one point, and now it's jumping back up mid 7s. So back when the prices were 900s, I was thinking 750 would be my price point that I would buy them on. When I went to the collect site, that's pretty much what I got these for, a little bit less than that, I think, shipped. And that was my price point that I was comfortable paying, regardless if the price went up or down after that. It did go back down and then up, but at the end of the day, $750 was what I wanted to pay for the shoe. And for me, that was definitely worth buying these for $750, just because it's a shoe that will hold somewhat of the value that you paid for it. But regardless of that, I really like the metallic black Air Jordan 5, and I like the twist that he did with this version of the Air Jordan 5. Garage door again. God damn it. It looks like there's going to be more colorways of the Air Jordan 5 with this off-white version. I'm wondering if this is going to be like the Chicago version and hold more value than the other two colorways, or is it going to flop, or what's going to happen? I don't really know, but this is the one that went up and down and up and down, and now these are definitely crazy in price. Regardless of that though, that's not necessarily why I bought them. I bought them with the fact that they're going to hopefully hold somewhat of the weight that I'm putting into it, just because it's so expensive. But it's just one of those nice pieces to have, in my opinion. And I do like Air Jordan 5s. It's one of my favorite. What do you guys think? What is your price point on the Air Jordan 5 and the off-white version? What would you pay for these? Like, if you had the money for them and the marketplace was non-existent, what would be the comfort price for you guys to buy these? A lot of people were like, well, you have money, just buy them for $900. Stop whining and waiting for them to go down. But you guys are missing the point. For me, personally, I just don't like paying resale for sneakers. 99% of the time, I don't pay resale for sneakers. I usually get them for a discount at the outlets. I get them from the employee stores, or I get them for retail. And if I don't get them for any of those places, I don't get the shoe. On rare occasions like this, and some of the Travis Scotts that I bought, like, I've had to pay resale, and it's not something I necessarily want to do, but I've wanted the shoes, and sometimes you just have to bite the bullet. But I also like to be able to wait until it's at a price point where I'm comfortable paying, and that's kind of what I did again with these. But for 900s, I was like, no, I'm not going to be paying that much for the shoe. 700s, I was like, okay, I will do it. 500 would have been the ideal price point, honestly, but I don't think that the price is going to go down. Now, I know a lot of people, when the original images of these came out, people were like, no, I'm not. Those are terrible. They're trash. And then everybody changes their mind as soon as they see the resale prices hitting. And so when I did my big sneaker sell-off of all my shoes, like, I was okay with parting with them just because I knew they would come back in mass quantities. But it's, regardless of the mass quantities, it's just one of those iconic ones that I personally like. And this one I just thought was a cool version, again, off-white version, which he does have the juice still. Like, it's crazy to say. Travis Scott has a lot of juice, obviously, right now with his dunks and his other Air Jordans and everything else, but Virgil still has a juice when it comes to some of his releases. And I feel like the other Jordans that they're going to be dropping, regardless if people are going to like the colorways or not up front, once they start seeing them more, people are going to freak out. The Air Jordan 4s, the off-white Air Jordan 4s, I think, is another one that people are going to go crazy over as soon as those ones drop. So ultimately, I think at the end of the day, there's a fine line of being a hype beast and buying everything that everybody else likes, and then also, like, being able to buy something that everybody else likes and know that you like it yourself. Like, I know that they're hyped up and I'm like, great, they're hyped up. But ultimately, like, it's just one of those shoes that even if there was no hype and if they were at the outlets, it would be a shoe that I would be definitely interested in. So sometimes that happens where the worlds collide and you have something really cool that people want, like myself, and then you have something that's just in massive high demand just because of what resellers and the hype beasts and everything else want. But unfortunately, if you buy something that hype beasts want, then you're just labeled as a hype beast, which is hilarious. And honestly, it's just a label though. If you know what you like out there and you know that it has hype behind it, you know the consequences that kind of come with that, and I'm okay with it. Because there's a lot of stuff you can see in the wall behind me. Some of the shoes are a $1,000 shoe sitting next to a $50 shoe. It doesn't necessarily have to have hype for it to have a place on my collection. So, but I do know, like, if you bought these just for the intent to resell them and you sold them, that does help you be able to fund your next investment potentially. And I understand and respect, obviously, that aspect of it as well. I just personally, for me, I wish I could get more things at retail, but you know, the limited stuff, I never get off at sneakers. I just 99% of the time I strike out. So, and you guys see all the L's that I tweet out on Saturdays and whatever days that drops happen. But anyway, that's the video. Collect is where I got these. I will have a real and fake video coming soon with these because I did buy a pair. I don't know if they'll ever get to me because obviously the lockdown stuff that's going on with Corona and everything. But hopefully I'll get my other pair of these that I bought and then be able to compare them side by side so you guys can see the real versus the fake and just how good, quote unquote, good quality the fake pairs are nowadays, because obviously it's just been crazy. But that's my video though. What do you guys think? Is it worth buying these or not? What's the price point that you guys would pay on these? Leave a comment in the comment section, and subscribe if you guys are new to my channel. Hit that notification bell to be notified of when my videos go live. Have a great rest of the day and more videos soon. Peace, guys.